Hello and welcome to the Poor Hammer Podcast, episode 205. I'm your host, Brad. This is my co-host, Eric.
How's it going?
And on today's episode, we are going to discuss the many biomorphs.
Yeah, this one should be pretty interesting. We kind of went over some Tyranid weapons a little bit ago, and there's some neat stuff.
But before we get to the main topic, we asked our patrons if we could do an ad read, and they agreed on the condition that they got to be the ones to write it. And somehow the sponsor was gullible enough to agree to their demand. So, without any further ado, let's get into the worst ad read in history.
Sounds good.
This week's episode is sponsored by Focus Entertainment and Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, featuring everybody's favorite character, Captain Titus, who now personally has more rules than Imperial agents and deeper lore than 6 entire factions.
Since our last time playing Space Marine 2 on this channel, there have been a bunch of updates, like the new Hellbrute Onslaught game mode, and new enemies like the Mucolid Vortex Beast.
But have you ever wanted to be a bigger nerd than the Thousand Suns are in Space Marine 2? Well, then we've got great news for you. Introducing the perfect class for those who love both Ceramite and Toasters. The Tech Marine, a new class getting more love from Space Marine 2 than Ferrus Manus got from anybody in his entire life.
The Tech Marine comes equipped with the Omniscient Power Axe, the coolest weapon Space Marines ever stole. A weapon guaranteed to grind the gears of your teammates as they carry you while you try and figure out how to not suck with the new class.
This is also the closest thing to playing vehicle spam that you're ever going to get, which, as we all know, is the only fun part of playing Loyalist Marines.
That wasn't the next line in the script. You missed one.
Thanks to the last price hike, the entire game is cheaper than a single box of Intercessors. At least in America. I'm not checking everywhere else.
No, try again.
I love Space Marines.
There we go. We are contractually obligated to tell you that you can play the new Tech Marine class in Space Marine 2 right now by clicking the link in the description below. We are not contractually obligated to tell you that Titus was actually an Alpha Legion spy the whole time.
Also, be sure to play it as much as you can if you're a Thousand Suns fan, because this is likely the best representation in a game we're ever getting. And thank you again to Focus Entertainment for paying us to promote a video game that you all already know about and most of you already play. No takebacks.
As a final note, our sponsor gave us 6 extra keys for Space Marine 2. We're going to give them away on our stream the same day that this episode is airing, so head over to Poor Hammer on Twitch, and there's a link in the description, 4 p.m. EST today, giving away 6 keys to Space Marine 2.
All right, so with Tyranid weapons, we have over 30 of them, and they don't really fit into buckets very well. It's not like when we're doing Imperium and it do like the small, medium, large of every type of gun.
Yeah, we don't have like the clear like, oh, these are the flamers, this is the bolter. Everything's just a biomorph thing.
They're all weird and gross.
Which is great.
I think for getting a high score for me on this one, it's all about wrapping back around like with orcs on going so 40k that it becomes insane.
Yeah. This one definitely has like some obvious tiers of like claw, and then on the other end, like weird bioengineer thing that's like specifically 40k-ified weapon.
Yeah, where you read the lore for how it's supposed to fire and you're like, that doesn't even work in physics, but okay, I'm here for it.
But it's so fucking cool. So, I don't know, where do we even want to start? Do we just kind of like want to bounce around randomly?
We can bounce around as we see fit on this one. There's a couple things that are spine based, so let's do those first. So the equivalent of like a pistol for a Termagant is a Spinefist.
The Spinefist is kind of interesting just because of like how it connects to the main Tyranid entity. I don't know what.
Yeah, we can call them whatever. Technically, we learned the word for every Tyranid life form is a biomorph. So the gun is one, the big Tyranid is another.
But like most of the guns or weapons are like a symbiotic thing attached to the main organism. So like the Spinefist is kind of neat because it's got like a tube that connects to the main gaunt or whatever. So it's like connected up so that one, that's how it like fires, because there isn't like, you know, like the normal like firing mechanism. But it's also like hooked up so that like there's an air bladder to actually like launch the needle spines. Spines is what we went with, I guess.
Yeah, It's all the same. The pointy things covered in venom or neurotoxins.
Right. There's a lot of poison, neurotoxin, venom going around in all of these weapons.
It's the majority of them.
Which makes sense. Since they're like living beings, it makes a lot of sense to use what, what works essentially. But the Spinefist itself is pretty small. It's not shooting like giant spears out, right?
No, they're like poison needles.
Which still are scary, and most of the things that are projectiles are also like living, so like once they hit you they like start burrowing essentially.
Yeah, with the Spinefist, this is one of the few where it looks like it is basically like a porcupine spine where it doesn't have a brain or anything. It's just a stick filled with toxin.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is cool overall, but I don't think it's amazing, right? Like this is cool, but like we can scale it up and be better.
I don't think it's a bad design for how small it is, though. If you're going to have small projectiles, it makes sense for it to be something where it's like, it's filled with a neurotoxin. So it doesn't matter if it's not like some giant anti-armor piercing huge gun. It's like
True.
a needle full of neurotoxins going to put someone down.
Yeah.
Also, the Needler is dope in Halo.
That's true.
I'm not letting it go below a B no matter what.
I'm thinking a B makes sense.
I could almost argue A just because like I tend to love needle weapons. They're kind of neat.
If it had the like tracking that the Needler had in Halo,
Okay. All right. Fine. Yeah, you're right.
I would be with you. It's totally an A, but as far as I understand, it is not tracking.
Yeah, they're just inanimate objects.
Still cool, but I think it's a good, like, solid B gatekeep kind of thing of like, you have to be cooler than this to really wow the audience.
So that brings us into the other variant then, which is the spine banks. These are the things like on the back of a Carnifex.
Right.
So these ones are larger, but they're fired more like a mortar of needles, much more like a porcupine spraying you with needles because you're attacking it from above or whatever. But these are meant to be used offensively as like a shotgun blast of killer needles. And these are, again, they're poison covered. That is how they're supposed to deal their damage.
Which, I mean, that's always that extra little bit that helps kind of thing. But like, there is a certain amount of, it is a pretty big spine.
Yeah, we're getting to guy gets impaled by it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool, but I don't think, oh man, it's tough. I don't think it's any cooler than the Spinefist, even though it is bigger.
I agree. I don't think making this type of weapon bigger makes it cooler. If anything, I think it's one of the weapons that when it's small is when it makes the most sense. Why do I need a spear to be covered in poison when it's already going to impale you?
The poison bit is a little odd. I mean, you're not always fighting just Space Marines. There's other things that exist in the universe. GW doesn't know about them, but like they do.
I was wondering where you were going with that. You were just taking a shot. I think these are still B. I don't think they're bad enough to be C or anything.
It feels like it's on the border, but a B's probably fine. I don't know, man. I think they might be a C just because we have another back embedded spine type thing that's a little bit cooler.
Oh, fair. I know what you're going to say when we get to the Stinger Salvos.
There's a couple that are similar that do that extra little bit, right?
All right. Since we talked about them, let's talk about Stinger Salvos.
Are they Stinger Salvos?
That's the modern name. Cluster Spine is the old. There used to be Frag Spines, Cluster Spines, Toxin Spines, and they were all just the needles on backs. Now, big ones are called Stinger Salvos and little ones are called Spine Banks. So this is now the same thing, but this is on like your biggest Tyranids, and this is now like Harpoons.
Yeah, there's a certain aspect where like I feel like you scale it up enough and it's just cool.
And looking at it online, it looks like there is lore for versions of these where they impact and then shatter into like a bunch of fragmented small spines.
At that point, some type of toxin kind of makes sense. Like, okay, it's a big giant projectile, but like if it somehow didn't do its job, it shattered on armor and then wrecks everybody around it. I don't know. I think these are cooler at the large scale. The small scale makes sense and the super large makes sense. The middle was a little little weak.
Fair enough. I'm with you. So these can stay in B with the Spinefist themselves then?
I think so.
Okay, I'm good with that. While we're doing things that are just throwing out spikes, instead of the word spine, let's use the word spike.
Okay.
We've got the spike rifle, which is the first weapon that is extremely phallic.
Yeah.
This one is meant to be a harpoon gun, and it can or can't have a neurotoxin or whatever, acid or whatever. But the point is, it is a big harpoon. This is wielded by termagants as like they're shoot you with a big stick instead of like Spinefist where it's poisoning you with small needles.
Harpoon guns are kind of cool on their own. They're not the most exciting, but when you have a harpoon gun that's like powered by just a bunch of muscles, essentially, that's kind of neat. It's that little extra, like, that's kind of special, but it's still just a harpoon gun.
It is just a harpoon gun.
I feel like I gotta be sold to give it a good grade.
No. Here's my thought is the harpoon cluster missiles coming out of the back is cool.
Yeah.
One harpoon out of a harpoon gun does not do it for me on the 40K scale.
Right?
I'd much rather have the neurotoxin covered needles or giant harpoons raining down from above. It's not D tier, but it's C tier at most.
And like, even if you put toxins on it, like, it's still like, it's a harpoon.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
While we're talking about harpoons, let's do the harpoon injectors, the toxin injectors that the Norn Assimilator has.
This one is big.
And this one is a true harpoon.
Yeah.
This one fires and drags you back while pumping you full of poison while it's doing it.
That's the weird part to me.
It's a little vague, but since it is a harvester unit, I assume it's like filling you with digestive juices.
Okay, acting like spider essence kind of thing.
Yeah, that's how that reads to me. I know it says toxin, but everything's a toxin in 40K. I think it's cool just because like it mentions that it uses it to like drag either even people or all the way up to like pulling a whole tank to it.
Right, because like, I mean, Norn Assimilator scale, having a harpoon, pretty big. It makes sense to be able to pull armored targets and stuff like that. But do you really need toxin, whatever, to drag a tank? But if it's also kind of like doing the harvesting or making that easier, that's neat. I can get behind that.
Yeah, that's why to me, I think this is the coolest of the bunch.
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes it to A. I think so.
Ooh.
It's really cool to think of it like scorpioning people and being like, get over here.
Yeah, kind of. All right, I'm good with it.
All right, we'll put that as our top dog for harpoons. There is the final one, which is the flesh hooks.
Oh, the lictors.
These ones are like creepy. They're technically projectiles, but they're really crossing the line between melee and projectile.
Yeah, these ones are definitely weird, especially because like from what I remember, they're like basically like wound up around the ribs of the lictor and then shot out.
Yeah, it shoots them at you and pulls you into it. Like it's to trap you, basically.
Yeah, which I mean fits so well with lictors and that whole aesthetic.
I don't know. They're not as cool as the toxin injectors, but they are like the same deal. I'd say they're just a safe B.
Yeah, I'm good with going with a B. I do think they are still pretty cool just because they work so well with the lictors and like what they're trying to do. But yeah, there's not too much beyond that.
All right, that does it for all the just plain shoot it with a stick.
Yeah, let's move on to something a little bit more esoteric.
Esoteric. All right, do you want one that's like really weird? Let's talk about the Shockcannon.
Okay.
This gets into like the weird, when we were talking about the Trigon and the fact that like it gives off an electric aura that damages stuff around it, and I said I want more weird electric stuff in Tyranids.
Yeah.
I forgot the Shockcannon was a thing. This is something that Hiveguard have, and it basically fires a harpoon of sorts. It's a bone spike, so I guess it's a harpoon in that way, but it fires it in before using it to deliver like a huge electric shock through the thing.
This is a really cool taser.
Yeah, it is a taser cannon. And unlike so when we were doing AdMech and stuff, they've got some of their Tesla stuff that like fires a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
This is doing the much more realistic thing of hitting you with an object that has a wire attached basically and then shocking you, which is more like how these actually work.
It's crazy how it's more realistic until you then look at like...
While being the weird bio bug thing as opposed to the science guys.
Yeah. And then you look at like the size and you're like, Jesus Christ, no. This What the fuck is going on here? Tasers are not supposed to be cannons. This is perfect.
Yeah, so I really like it just because I like the variety within Tyranids. I think it shows it off really well. It's almost S to me. I don't know if it is.
I do think it is because it's not just, you know, a bunch of like venom, poison stuff going on. There's also the clear like need to solve machinery as an enemy kind of thing. So like, all right, we shoot it with a giant barb and then tase the shit out of it.
And then tase the shit out of it.
It solves problems that like feels Tyranids.
I do like it because it also shows off, again, the fact that like the hive mind will adapt to the situation. So if you're against a bunch of vehicles, it's going to start having the hive guards spawn in with shock cannons.
Yeah.
That's neat to me, the fact that it can adapt that way. I think that's part of why it's an S to me. If we want to talk about another really weird one, let's start with the Barbed Strangler. This is like the first thing when you read it and you're like, oh, Tyranid guns are freaky.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, anytime a gun has a seed sack involved is freaky.
A seed sack, a muscled tube. This is getting demonetized.
But yeah, so it basically is a gun that fires seeds which super fast grow in like all directions to like bind and rip apart whatever they latch onto.
They like grow out hooked tentacles that like grab onto everything and pull it in and like bind it and rip it apart. It's really gross reading the description for like how the thing even processes and moves a seed from the sack into like almost like a muscle based railgun.
It kind of feels like that's what the idea is. Yeah.
It essentially just spits it at something and then like in air it grows like a Batman villain Poison Ivy or Usopp from One Piece for a One Piece reference.
Yeah.
It grows as it hits the target and just like envelops them and just rips them apart.
It's kind of terrifying.
Physics wise, the matter's coming out of kind of nowhere, but that's the best part of 40K.
Kind of. Yeah, this one is neat. I don't know how high to put it though.
Well, here's the thing. That's like the medium version.
Yeah.
And then we have the larger version, which is the Stranglethorn cannon. And then we'll get to the Strangleweb, but that one's slightly different.
Yeah, I think the cannon's on like the Carnifex.
Yeah, it's on the Carnifex. So the question is this a weapon that is cooler infantry size or giant? And I think it's infantry sized.
I think so as well.
It's just creepier and cooler from something person size rather than like if something that is basically a living tank fires that, it's not as impressive.
There is some amount of wow factor when you think about like if something's that, you know, tank size firing this, the expectation is that whatever it's firing is going to grow at a like similar accelerated rate. So like you go from like nothing to it fires and then there's like a forest of whatever over there.
Of tentacle grossness over someone.
Yeah. So like I do think it is kind of cooler at infantry size, but I don't think it loses too much even when it's scaled up.
That's fair. I do think to me the Barbed Strangler is like the de facto weird Tyranid guts gun. This is the definition of S to me.
I can accept that, yeah. And then probably put the cannon at like an A.
That's fair. I think it's right. It doesn't lose all of its coolness, but I just think it's a little bit less cool than the basic version. Now let's discuss the Strangleweb, which I like slightly less for reasons.
Yeah, how do you feel about spiders?
They're not my favorite thing.
So yeah, this one does similar idea to the previous two. The Strangleweb fires a living thing that grows and entangles whatever it hits, but the Strangleweb is more of like an actual spider-like thing to like stick to whatever it hit and use that as its way to control the opponent, essentially. I think there's also poison involved because there's spiders and it's Tyranids and like, yeah, poison or venom or whatever.
Also, the gun looks like a horse penis.
All right.
We just have to say it or the comments won't let up.
What did you say? A horse wiener? Now, that's dangerous. Guys, don't let your guard down.
It's classic. It really is.
Timeless humor.
So like the Strangleweb, I mean, it's basically like a smaller version of the other two, which I would say is less exciting, other than like there was a blurb about Termagants using these to capture live specimens.
Yes, which is terrifying.
That amps it up just that much more of like, you never want to fight Tyranids, but to fight them and then literally be captured as living specimen, no. Nope. Nope. Don't want. I'd rather have that giant harpoon.
Yeah, I'm with you. Where does it go, though?
I don't think it's any lower than an A.
I agree.
I just don't know if it is cool enough to be an S.
We'll give it an S for the Disgaea reference.
All right. I'm good with that. Do we want to keep going with some truly terrible things? We can talk about the Devourer.
Sure. That's the other, like, classic. Like, is that or the Fleshborer? Let's do the Devourer.
Yeah, this one's, I mean, it looks disgusting.
It's described as a conical lump of rotted flesh.
Yeah.
Yes. Infested with worms.
Which is terrifying and like, oh my god, why? Because then you shoot it all at the enemy and like then the worms start burrowing into flesh and all that stuff. Ugh.
It's actually fascinating to me that it's like the gun itself is basically like a lump of food that your other creepy flesh-eating Tyranids are temporarily eating before being fired. And then it fires like an electric shock that makes them all attempt to escape, and they fly out of the tubes and land on other people and start going back to eating.
But instead of the like pre-prepared rotted flesh gun, it's an enemy flesh essentially.
I hate it in all the best ways, but I hate it.
Yeah, man. I think I also saw something about brain leech worms involved at some point.
Yes, I think that was a relic last edition or something.
Yeah. No. It's cool. It's terrifying.
To me, this is the like other S fleshy weapon.
Yeah. No, I think that's slam dunk S.
We've got a couple of them in a row here, and we're going to get to a couple more boring things in a bit. But that is one of the most vile descriptions for a gun in 40k.
Yeah.
Let's get to some of the more vanilla stuff, though. Let's do some melee stuff. We haven't done any.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of boring stuff that's going to eat up some of the lower slots.
Okay, let's just start with Scything Talons then.
Okay, so for me, Scything Talons can't be that high. They're very boring.
No, they cannot be high.
But I think they're a fine, like, C tier thing because they're big scythes, which is kind of cool.
All right.
I don't think they're, like, trash.
It's a low C.
That's fair, but it is a C to me. To get to some of my least favorites, let's do Rending Claws, the first D tier of this. I think Tyranids is going to have very few D tiers overall, but Rending Claws is literally just sharp nails.
Yeah.
It doesn't get more boring.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, it's still scary and, like, depending on how big the Tyranid is, but, like, it's also just really sharp claws. So, whatever.
To do another easy D tier, we have the tails, either the club tail or the scythe tail.
Okay, yeah.
It's a tail. I love an Ankylosaurus, but a club tail is not good enough for 40k weaponry.
The Scythe tail's kind of neat, but also not enough to really push it.
It feels less useful than a club tail in combat.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, it's kind of neater, but, like, it's also, like, almost certainly less effective. So, yeah, I'm whatever.
So the tails can also go down to D. There are some cooler ones. How do we feel about the Lash Whip? Like, it's a whip, but it's alive.
Okay.
This is a Tyranid. It's basically a tentacle monster. With barbed tentacles. It's definitely much more interesting than just the generic teeth and claw stuff.
I don't remember seeing any eyes on that one.
I don't think it has eyes. The main body is in the handle from the lore stuff I was reading. And then it has tentacles that come out of it. It kind of lives like a snail in the handle. The handle I don't think has any eyes or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, living whip is neat. The fact that it can, like, move on its own it's unique. But, like, how useful is it to move on its own if it can't really see?
I just imagine it being able to consciously coil like a snake around something once you hit it.
Okay.
So like it's not just the lashing of hitting it with the whip, it's the then it can grab.
All right. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Like, because real whips are in a weird way blunt instruments. Like you're cracking a whip on something. Like it's hitting something very, very hard with a stick.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it makes it a little bit easier to, like, actually hook around and, like, ensnare the enemy, essentially, that could be a bonus essentially.
There's also just something cool and aura farming about the whip, like moving around and writhing and like wiggling
Yeah.
while the thing is like staring you down before you fight, when you're like, that is just disgusting. I don't know. I don't think it still goes that high, but I do think it's like B tier.
Ooh.
It's one of the more interesting things you can do with melee weapons.
Yeah, I guess it has to be the caveat of it's still a melee weapon, so like it gets a little bit cooler. All right, fine, it's a B.
We'll save some of the more interesting melee weapons to debate for later, but one last terrible one, Tusks is D tier.
Yeah.
It's big teeth.
That is potentially the worst on our list. Even claws are kind of cooler.
So there we go. We had to fill out the bottom of the list a little bit so it didn't sound like we were just giving everything an S tier all day.
Yeah.
Now we can go back to some of the weirder stuff.
How do we want to deal with Spore Mines?
Let's discuss the mine and then we'll discuss the launcher.
Okay.
So the Spore Mine itself, it is also a unit, but it is a weapon. So we're counting it as a weapon. We counted all the like Melta-mines and stuff like that for the Imperium.
And like, I mean, it's a big part of one of the other weapons, essentially.
Yeah. So I think it's a really, really cool thing. Just taking the idea of an anti-personnel mine or even an anti-tank mine or whatever. We're doing Spore Mines, so we'll say the anti-personnel mine first. Having them float around almost like sea mines do underwater, but like just in the air. And like they have a consciousness, it appears. They have controllable movement, so there's some type of brain going on.
Well, from what I could tell, they don't have like a brain so much as like they have something closer to like a jellyfish.
Yes, which makes sense because like I know from Devastation of Baal, like even a Lictor has like 3 sub-brains that control different aspects because again, they're not like creatures of their own. They are a portion of a larger whole. So it's not like something where it's got like a normal animal brain. It's got like a weird partial control system that is like filtering data down.
Yeah, because like the Spore Mine is basically just like floating around until it finds something that's not Tyranid and then goes.
And then goes. Vaya con Dios.
So it's gotta have like enough of a intelligence function to be able to tell, but like it doesn't need really anything more than that.
Yeah, I love the Spore Mine.
Yeah, and I mean there's like different variants of it, if it's like a poison sac or
Yeah, we'll talk about it, but just in whole, the idea of a Spore Mine is amazing. It flexes what Tyranids does that no one else does, to where I think the Spore Mine specifically should be an S tier.
oh yeah.
Now, the launcher is a launcher. Like, yeah, it's technically a living organism that shoots the Spore Mines.
The fact that it exists helps the Spore Mines be an S tier.
Yes, but I don't think it itself is S tier.
I agree. I'm with you on that one.
I think it's only probably like B tier if we're being honest.
Yeah, mostly that's just because of how it works as just being a living organism.
It's a muscle gun, but like it doesn't have all the other creepiness that the other ones do up in S tier.
Yeah.
It's firing the much cooler thing that gets to be its own weapon that is already in S tier. So I don't think it's above a B as a concept in a vacuum without giving it credit for the Spore Mine. All right, so we have our anti-tank mine or anti-air mine or whatever you want to call it. Anti-everything big mine, which is the Mucolid spores. This is Spore Mine, but very large. This is actually like a sea mine.
I don't know if that makes it as cool. I don't think it's as cool when it's that big.
I don't either. I think the Spore Mine being more a personal FU makes it much more interesting.
Yeah, and just having like a bunch of Spore Mines tossed out, you know, into the air to cluster around and be terrifying. Whereas like the big Mucolid Spore is like, well, you could just instead shoot something. It's that big.
Here's my argument for why it's worse. Ready? A Spore Mine is like, what if a frag grenade could fly around and had a consciousness and wanted to find you to kill you?
Yeah.
A Mucolid Spore is the same thing but with a bomb. But at what point is it just a bomb?
Right. This is just a drone with a strapped TNT on it.
This is less effective than a Predator drone. It really is.
Kinda, yeah.
So I think this one does not have any of the interest of the Spore Mine. I think this one's like C tier.
I was gonna say, is it C tier? It feels weird because the Spore Mine's so cool, but I think it might be a C tier.
It gets into the whole like something can be cool at one size and be boring at a different size.
Like, I feel like there are ways that they could spice this up so that it isn't just essentially a Spore Mine, but for air defense or targeting vehicles or whatever. But like, it would have to do something a little bit more interesting. I don't think it does. So what do we want to move on to next then?
Let's do our acid sprays and our flame bursts and our totally not flamers.
Okay.
So first, I guess we have acid spray in general here. It's like a big heavy flamer, vehicle heavy flamer that the Tyrannifex has. I love a flamer. However, in Tyranids, it loses a lot.
I disagree. Okay.
All
For
right.
one particular reason.
Go for it.
And that is because acid spray on the Tyrannifex is like a dragon's breath.
Oh, I was going to give the Flamespurt way more credit for that.
Nah, I don't think so, man. This Flamespurt's like a chunk, isn't it? Of just like shooting out a giant chunk of like organic mass that's on fire.
This one's just acid. I was going to give that credit to the flame spurts because that one works more like the Rain of Fire Dragons where they like mix the chemical as they spray it out of their mouth.
All right. Yeah, I guess it does feel like that might be a bit more dragony.
I don't think the acid spray gets that much credit from me because like in the grand scheme of Tyranids here, it's pretty low.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair. If you've properly convinced me that the Flame Spurt is more Dragon Breath-esque, then yeah, the acid spray kind of lost all of its real oomph for me.
I will say, if War Gear could give keywords properly,
Yeah.
and the acid spray, because it's supposed to be digestive fluids that it's spraying on you,
Mm-hmm.
if that made it where the Tyrannifex became a harvester, that would be such a Vorthos win
That would be cool.
that it would shoot up the rankings for me.
Yeah.
Like that would truly show off the idea of harvesters. If like adding the digestive fluid gun changed your class basically.
Yeah, I guess it is only really on the Tyrannifex. So like the fact that it is digestive fluids, that is kind of a flavor fail at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to say it's C tier to me. But as we were just arguing, the Flamespurt does exactly what you were saying. And that's why it's really high for me, just like it was for you.
Yeah, the idea of having like dragon breath kind of thing in a Tyranid is awesome.
Yeah, I don't have argument for below A for this thing. I am always of the mind that Flamers are S tier though. So I don't know which of the two. I will leave it to you to decide.
Yeah, all right. I mean, we'll put it at S tier. As much as we might be a bit too high on some of these. I don't know.
We're allowed to overstuff S tier on the Tyranid biomorphs tier list because Tyranids have some of the sickest guns and weapons in general in 40k. It's so unique and interesting compared to the rest of the setting.
That's true.
Speaking of unique and interesting, the Bonesword. I'm glad that landed for you because I was real worried that was going to hit dead air.
No, that's good. I mean, it's a bone sword.
This is my least favorite of the melee weapons in Tyranids. It's like it and Rending Claws for the opposite reasons.
I think it's cooler than the claws by a decent amount.
That's fair.
But mostly just because it is still living. It does have like a brain. So like we've got all of the weeb anime living swords nonsense going on that we can reference.
Sure, the Drukhari Jin blades and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, like there's a little bit there that's not just literally I have a tail or I have sharp claws.
My question is, why does your sword need a brain?
Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't. But like, why not?
I guess. I'm not letting it go above C.
No.
But I would let it be C.
I think it's a C.
I know I'm overly down on bone swords compared to everybody else.
A big part that I enjoy with it is the why does it need a brain? It doesn't. But like, it's cooler because it has it, right? Like living swords are cooler than just a piece of metal.
All right, are you ready for my hottest take?
Oh no.
Crushing claws are A tier.
No, they're not. They're not.
Yes, they are.
No,
they're A
they're
tier.
not. They're not
Yes.
even. No.
Crab claw, but crab claw that crushed tank. Giant enemy crab.
That's cool. But no, not A cool.
A cool.
No, it's not.
A. Where
It
do
just
you think they
isn't.
belong?
It absolutely isn't. It's like a high C, maybe a low B at best, just because I know you love the idea of a crab claw.
All right, we'll make it B. I'm fine
Like,
with that.
it's realistically a C, but I'm fine with giving it to you as a B. It's not an A.
It's a crab claw.
I do enjoy the fact that everything becomes a crab eventually.
Oh, there's one last melee weapon I didn't think of.
Yeah, we've got one, potentially another one if we stretch.
Yeah, stretch. Ha. We'll segue back to guns with it. All right, so first, feeder tendrils, feeder tentacles, whatever you want to call them. Squid face.
Yeah, I don't like them. I'll be honest, I don't like them, but they're cool.
My wife is always upset by them. I love Cthulhu face. I love it a lot. Like, I love the aesthetic of it. I love the idea of brain eaters and all of the crazy stuff. We could question on if you have opposable thumbs and everything, why you need a tentacle maw. I guess it frees up your hand so that you can hold your milkshake and stuff at the same time. You can do your taxes while eating on a guy's brain.
Yeah, I feel like there's a decent amount of it just looks creepy. Like, that's what they went for, which is fine, but kind of a weird weapon, right? I don't know. It's tough to call it a weapon.
Yeah, it's basically just small tentacles.
Yeah.
Weapon-wise, it's not doing much. Lore-wise, it's supposed to help them absorb your brain chemistry so it learns from you.
Sure.
Realistically, that's just, we can steal some Lovecraft. It's okay. It's free.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, still calling it a weapon is like calling your thumbs a weapon.
The greatest weapon of human history. You'll never believe it. 45-minute long History Channel bullshit. The opposable thumb.
And it's like, yeah, technically, sure, but also D tier.
Fair enough. All right, to segue back to our ranged weapons, let's talk about our melee ranged weapon. What that tongue do, Eric?
What the tongue do? Fuck. The worst part is I had a similar thought and was like, nah, that's dumb. He'll laugh at me for saying that one.
Yeah, that's why I said it.
Thank you. I'm glad that you brought it to reality. Yeah, the grasping tongue.
It's upsetting as hell. It's very cool too.
Because it shoots out, it kind of is ranged.
It gets into the harpoon territory, but it's way grosser and creepier than a harpoon.
Yeah, I mean, like, we don't call a frog's tongue ranged weaponry.
Yeah, I don't know if it is. I think ranged has to stop contacting you to count.
Yeah.
Like, we can't call spears ranged weapons.
But then we go back to, like, the Shockcannon.
Yeah, and that is a ranged weapon.
Yeah, but it's like, it's still got a connection back to you kind of thing as a taser.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. Of like, it's a ranged weapon. It still has the contact back to you though. Like harpoons are ranged weapons, even if they've got a wire. At which point is a tongue a harpoon?
It kind of is just a harpoon. And this is Tyranids, so like, honestly, the tongue is just a superior living harpoon.
I agree. I think this is very highly placed. I hate it. I think it's very highly placed. This is like the most upsetting model in the range for me. I do not like that mouth.
Oh, that's funny. I mean, it's disgusting. I'm trying to like look back to see where we placed other harpoons.
I think A tier with the Toxinjector Harpoon is where I want to put it.
That's where I was thinking. I just wanted to make sure that like we didn't have a bunch somehow sitting in S and be like, oh shit.
The only one is the Shockcannon, but it's less because it's a harpoon and more because it's a cool electric thing from Tyranids.
Yeah. All right. I'm good with A tier for grasping tongue.
All right. Let's bounce to ones that are a little newer. Let's do the Barblauncher from the Barbed Gaunts.
Okay.
This one is essentially firing, from what I read on it in like the 10th Codex and stuff, it's basically a barb that fires and detonates like a frag grenade.
Okay.
It's essentially a shoulder mounted grenade launcher, but it's a hollowed out barb that on impact shatters.
I'm shocked that it doesn't also have venom or poison or
Just randomly. It will next edition. They didn't write that paragraph. We only got the first of the 2 paragraphs of lore.
right. I don't think that would really help it too much anyways. So, okay. One of the other things is the fact that it's like fused onto the barb gaunt.
Yes. I mean, yeah, that's most Tyranid weapons, but I get what you're saying. The fact that the Barb Gaunt's entire existence is to carry this thing and fire it.
Yeah, I like the Barblauncher. Okay, I just read kind of what was going on there. It's not like impact and then shatter. It launches out and then rips itself apart into shattered, jagged projectiles.
Oh, you are right. I guess I misread that. Okay.
I think that's cooler.
It's a little cooler. I still don't like like it that much.
I don't know. It's probably like a B.
Sure, I'm fine with that. While we're here, let's do the strictly inferior shard launcher, which is the same thing but on a termagant and isn't as cool.
Yeah, basically.
I'm gonna put it in C.
Sure.
We've got some really neat ones left still, damn. Let's talk about Geneva Convention violations. Let's talk about poisonous miasma.
I'm so glad you went there. I just looked over to our list and your tier list has just miasma as a word. Like, we should hit that.
Yeah, Borrelio didn't finish his job, so I had to make do.
All right, so miasma.
This one's a little weird because it is not a physical object, but it is definitely a weapon. So this is what the venom thropes like spew out gas of in the Toxicrene.
Right, so like this is essentially the weapon of the smokestacks for Tyranids.
Yes. It's definitely creepy. It doesn't really have like a physical look other than I'm sure it's green because sci fantasy, but it's smoke.
The fact that they have smokestacks on a living organism to like shoot this gas out.
Yeah, something that is basically, it is a bunch of gas bladders built up inside of it and on its back and all that to just spew this constantly, among other things it spews, but
That's kind of neat. I don't think it's particularly cool for me though.
yeah, I'm kind of torn on it because like from what I was reading, it can be used both defensively for the Tyranids and offensively to basically just shred something as soon as it inhales it.
Right.
I don't know if it belongs in B.
That's kind of where I was thinking about putting it, but
Okay. I'm looking at stuff in A and B, and I'm like, I don't think it's good enough to be A. It's definitely better than some of the stuff in B, in my opinion. So I think B is the right place.
I feel like if there wasn't so much other poison venom stuff,
Yes, it's less unique in this range. Correct.
then it would be like, ooh, that's neat. But even though it is a unique take on vaping really hard, it's still just like vaping really hard.
I'm okay with it being B. I think that's the right spot for it. I had to think for a little bit there.
So I think we've got a couple cannons left.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cannons left if you want to do cannons.
Yeah, let's take a look at some cannons.
Let's talk about my favorite little turtle boy's Bio-Plasmic Cannon. I really want to rate this highly, not just because it's one of my favorite models in Tyranids, but also because I love plasma. And Bio-Plasmic Cannon is even cooler.
I mean, that's a cool name for a weapon. Absolutely. I feel like I wasn't as interested in this until you had told me previously that their eyes on the side or in the front.
Oh, yeah. The fact that, like, this isn't a living organism, like, it has its own brain function and eyes to see with and everything and aim itself.
That's pretty cool, especially for a multi-barrel weapon. Having like an eye for every weapon barrel is kind of cool. It's high up there.
I don't think it's S tier, but I think it's at least A tier.
I think it's an A.
I love the idea of them like creating plasma internally through some biological means that's horrifying.
Yeah.
However the hell they're doing it. There is also the like mouth version of the bioplasma that Carnifexes have. Not as cool because it's smaller, but it's still fine. I think it's like B tier just for the normal variant.
Yeah, I do remember this now because like that's like one of the reasons that they're called Screamer Killers.
Well, the Screamer Killer is even weirder because he's the voice one. The Carnifexes themselves actually do have bioplasma as one of their weapons. They even currently in 10th edition, if they've got the big screamy open mouth, that's the bioplasma.
Yeah, I mean, it's still pretty cool, but it's not 6 barrels cannon.
Yeah, it's not as cool as the cannon variant. I think it's B tier still just because I like the idea of it, like, again, like internally engineering plasma somehow. From in the one lore snippet, it says from battery organs.
Yeah, those battery organs. Uh-huh.
Well, if you think about it, everything in Tyranids is very acidic, and battery acid is also acidic. And batteries somehow make plasma. Don't think too hard.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got energy, so like you just have to energize the stuff, and then it's plasma.
How do they recharge their batteries?
Clearly, they just eat things.
You eat like really
Taco Bell.
basic stuff and then it like causes a reaction to make your acidic more acidic so that your battery acid recharges or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Math works in there somehow. We've got a high school teacher screaming in the audience right now.
All right, what else do we have?
Do we want a really big gun?
Sure.
Let's do the Rupture Cannon.
Oh, yeah.
The Rupture Cannon lore-wise is super weird because it doesn't fire one projectile. It fires there's two of them that are unique.
Yeah, it's like one after the other kind of thing, because like the first one's a prep.
Yes. It hits you with a tick first that explodes on impact, and its innards basically spray all over and eat up the armor. And then the seed pod that smashes into that and burrows into the thing after it's been weakened by the tick's blood.
Yeah, and then like they explode based on some trigger
Reaction therein.
Yeah.
It's kind of vague, but it just makes it want to have an explosion because they have to explain some explosion mechanic during some editions. I mean, deep lore reasons.
I am kind of a fan of the idea that you have to like prep for the secondary shot kind of thing. Like shoot the first one to prep for the second one to kill. That's cool as an idea. Not very practical, but like whatever.
I also love that this is like just one of the strongest weapons in 40k that we get to play with in game.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that it's not just big, powerful bullet like it would be if it was Imperium. It is something clever.
Bolters are clever. Come on. Yeah. No, I feel like because it's such a big cannon, the like 2-stage system is cool as much as it's not good or anything. Like, right? Like just a single shot that's bigger would probably be better.
I love the idea that it's every time it fires both.
Yeah.
And just the idea that there is no recoil that ever takes the second shot off of the first. You always get 2 bullets that hit the same position. Some Robin Hood splitting the arrow bullshit with a semi-automatic weapon.
Maybe there's some like auto correction that the seed does in travel.
Maybe.
I don't think there's any lore about that, but you don't know.
Also, the gun has its own brain, so like it's even got eyes and everything, so
It's auto correcting for any recoil.
maybe.
Clearly, that's what we need to figure out. How to make our weapons have brains in them that are actual living entities.
I think it's S tier unless you give me an excuse not to put it there.
I've got no excuse not to put it there.
Excellent. Biggest dickest go up top.
Yeah.
Oh, we forgot the Impaler Cannon, the other Hive Guard weapon. So the Impaler Cannon is firing essentially what is like a giant demonic mosquito.
I mean, that's terrifying, but like, what?
So it fires shard beasts, which are, instead of like just doing it's a pointy stick, this is a pointy stick that has its own small brain and not wings, but like flaps to control it in air.
Some type of like fin.
Yeah. So it's basically like firing a homing missile, like a real life homing missile.
All right.
But the brain is not a computer in this case. It is a real brain.
Yeah. And like the thing is only living for the few seconds in travel, essentially.
We can argue the bomb lives only as it falls, but there is also the time when it was alive inside of the hive of the gun. It's just the last moments of its life is as it's going towards an enemy before impact.
The most exciting moments of its life. I mean, it's simple until the whole homing part.
Yeah, it's a lot cooler than the other just generic spine weapons because this one is actually a whole entity going, not just like a sharp stick of bone.
I don't think it's that cool still.
I don't either. It's not the coolest thing. It definitely gets bonus points for having something unique to it that's not just throwing a stick like all the early ones. Like, to me, I think it's probably up to A tier just because like looking where Spinefist is and looking where the Stinger Salvos are.
I was gonna say I feel like it's similar to the Spinefist for me.
Do you think it belongs as a gatekeeper of B, or should it be the bottom of A?
I mean, we can put it at the bottom of A. That's fine.
I do, for what it's worth, I do think it belongs there. I think it's slightly cooler than the Spinefist just because of the whole firing a whole organism part.
Yeah, it is very Tyranid.
From there, do we want to do the Tentaclids, which we also kind of skipped, even though they're sort of Spore Mines, but like Spore Missiles?
Oh, yeah, the missiles that are on the Hive Crone.
They're really gross. They're like lamprey when they're on it.
I love the way that that's designed. Very cool. But like, I don't think they're really Spore Mines.
No, they're Spore Missiles. They fire off like missiles. They're like a squid, but in air instead of water. They can go.
Yeah, they like actively seek out the enemy instead of just floating around and then trying to find them.
Their design makes me want to put them even higher than I want to put them.
They are pretty cool.
They're really gross. They're like a beetle beetle with squid tentacles coming off of it, and you know that thing can fly fast as fuck for a short time. And it's just a terrifying thing to imagine versus just a torpedo.
Apparently it explodes into some bioelectric pulse.
Sure, I guess because it's targeting aircraft usually.
A lot of the like anti-air vehicle stuff from Tyranids is electric based, so
I guess that does make sense.
that is a nice little bonus.
I do think they're high. I just don't know where they go.
I don't think they're S. They're not as cool as Spore Mines.
That's fine, but they do have like aspects of the Spore Mines and aspects of the Shockcannon.
Probably an A.
All right, I don't want to go below A. I can be argued down to A. I do think they're very close to S to me, but that's fine.
Well, I think part of it is also just like being flown around by the hive crone.
They're lazy, so you're annoyed.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't know why I have that opinion when like the Spore Mine generally gets launched out of a cannon thing. So whatever. What do we have next? Because we gotta be getting close here, right?
Yeah, I've got 4 left on the list, I think. So do we want to do the Fleshborer? We've gone this whole time without talking about like the Tyranid equivalent of like a las gun.
Yeah, let's talk about the Beetles.
All right, so the Beetles were an obscure band no one ever heard of.
It's true.
Fleshborers, they have a lot of lore compared to most Tyranid weapons, and I have to say, most Tyranid weapons have a lot of lore compared to Tyranids.
I mean, it kind of makes sense to a certain aspect of like, how do you describe the enemy of the Space Marine? Well, you talk about their weapons, right?
Yeah, it's true. You want to show off how terrifying they are, so they're always described in excruciating detail.
Yeah, so that when the Space Marine wins, it's that much more exciting.
But yeah, so Fleshborers are basically a hive in a gun that fires. I mean, it fires, they're called beetles, but they're basically firing bees. From a high level, it's a bee gun. You have a hive of bees and you're shooting bees at people.
I mean, yeah, that's not exciting to be on the other end.
No, you do not want to be on the receiving end of flesh-boring beetles being thrown at you. Really, they're the scarabs from the Mummy, which makes them 10 times cooler.
That's kind of what I was thinking of as well. The Fleshborer is small in comparison, kind of
It
thing.
is. So you're firing like a beetle at a time.
Yeah,
And I feel like that does take a bit away.
it does.
Because if I have to shoot someone with a las pistol, or if I have to shoot them with a beetle and then wait for the beetle to eat their face, one of these is a more efficient weapon.
the expectation is that you're shooting them with like 100 beetles at a time, kind of thing.
Well,
Like,
yeah, you have a lot of termagants.
yeah, I do like the idea of your gun basically just being a nest that's then just like, you go.
You just spit one out from the firing sphincter.
Right. I'm glad you said that. It had to be said. Yeah, I mean, I think the Fleshborer is pretty cool. I'd say it's probably like an A.
A is probably good. I don't think it's S. I will argue, though, the Fleshborer Hive is. What if the Fleshborer, but you fired the entire swarm of all of the scarabs from the Mummy at once and they just ate somebody?
Yeah, the scaling it up is definitely more terrifying when you're talking about swarms from like a hive colony kind of thing of small bug type things.
Let's be honest, they're Australian-sized bugs.
Sure.
Small for the scale of the bugs that we're talking about today, but like they're terrifying in real life.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're probably an S.
I 100% think that's where the Fleshborer Hive belongs. It's a horrifying concept. And also it's creepy looking.
It is really creepy looking.
So we've only got 2 things left, both classics. Do you want to do the Venom Cannon first? Which I guess includes like heavy Venom Cannon or whatever, but the idea of a Venom Cannon.
All right, the Venom Cannon basically fires crystallized poison dart things that are coated in venomous residue.
Yes.
Fuck off. Go to D, you stupid bastard.
I'm fine with this. I do think it's funny, but it is also extremely stupid. I was waiting for you to like really lay into the fact that like, so instead of just taking a bone shard filled with poison and shooting it at something like all the other ones, we crystallize the poison and wait for it to thaw out after impact. And it's like 4 layers of poison interlaced.
We had to make sure that we coated it in a metallic venom residue. What? Oh my god.
Well, because the base crystal would take too long to thaw out and poison something.
So basically, we just shot him with a venomous.
You shoot them with a more expensive bullet.
Yeah.
This one's made of venom instead of bone for when you really want to send the message. They're dead long before it actually makes a difference.
It feels 40K. And generally, that's a good thing. But then there is a point where it's gone too far.
of like you get into the why when you already have this, which is a smarter implementation.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, but I added this thing.
And your answer isn't I'm orcs. You were supposed to be something intelligent.
So no, I do not like the Venom Cannon.
That's fair.
We do have the Death Spitter left.
Yes, this one is the like really interesting one because this one has a ton of old lore and stuff for it. But like basically it's multiple biomorphs that make one greater whole.
All right.
It is multiple symbiotic sub weapons together. They combine into a Death Spitter.
I mean, I like the idea of complex weaponry, but let's hopefully not make it crystallized poison coated in metallic venom.
No, it is throwing basically slime maggots that end up like burrowing in and being acidically covered because they're in gross juice.
All right.
They're a lot like a different version of the Devourer, which I mean, honestly, the Death Spitter versus the Devourer, when you look at their stat lines and everything, yeah, they're similar in what they're doing here.
I mean, the Devourer was cool.
Yeah, I don't know if it holds up versus the Devourer. I think it still does. I think this one's more interesting from like, they really thought through how they wanted the weapon to work. And I'm not gonna like read the paragraphs on how the brood chamber hooks up to the next part. And then there's a spider jaw creature that takes off the maggot's carapace. Basically, it is breeding a form of insectoid thing that it then decoats internally with another sub creature and then fires the super acidic innards and the like now dying maggot at you.
Nice.
Overly gross for no reason other than 40k, which is why it probably does deserve the S tier.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I have small hesitations.
It's the loosest S tier. You could argue it down to A.
Because, like, the Devourer...
The Devourer is more terrifying. It definitely is.
And, like, they're doing very similar things. And, like, the Devourer, yeah, it's not quite as, here's the process step by step. But sometimes that's better.
You are correct. Sometimes over-explaining is worse.
We need to make sure that we're not midichlorian.
Never go full midichlorian.
I don't think the Death Spitter went anywhere near there, but I'm not sure that all the extra bits made it cooler.
Oh, that's fair. Is it as cool though? For what it's worth, I think the Devourer is cooler. Let's look. So we've got, is it better than all of A tier? If so, it'll go to S. Ooh, you know what? It's A tier.
I think it's A tier looking at them again.
It's A tier. You're right. The second I looked at the Bio-Plasmic Cannon and the tongue, and I'm like, nope, this isn't better than those. It's as good as them, probably. It's not better than them.
Still, this is a pretty good result overall for Tyranid weapons.
They're really top loaded. Look, Tyranid weapons were always going to be one of the higher rated ones.
And especially when you look at like a bunch of the lower ones are literally just like claws.
Yeah, like boring stuff.
Realistically, we probably shouldn't have even brought it up, but like we could, so why not?
And if we didn't, people would be like, when are you doing the melee weapons for Tyranids? And it's like, I guess.
Yeah.
Eric wouldn't even let me put crab claws to A.
Because they're not.
If a crab claw is not A, fuck melee weapons.
Yeah, but like there's some real weird weapons going on here, which is great.
I mean, it's a great showing from Tyranids, so I'm excited to see where some of the other Xenos end up when we do these long term, but I think Tyranids have a lot of cool weapon designs. Just before we get out of here for the week, a reminder, if you're watching this the day it airs originally, we are streaming this afternoon. Please feel free to come join us and maybe win a Space Marine 2 key if you don't have one. Other than that, we're out of here for the week.
Sounds good.